Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am so happy to be doing another video, but I had a request on making a video about how to get through dental hygiene school as a wife and a mother. Now, as a disclaimer, when I was in hygiene school, I was not married and I did not have kids, but I am in school now working on my master's, so some of the same things that I do with this program are the same principles that you can apply to the hygiene program. Now, given my program is not as rigorous as the hygiene program is going to be, but these tips will be helpful. So, any professional program like the hygiene program, nursing, physical therapy, medical school, dental school, programs like that are going to be rigorous and they're going to be stressful because hygiene school is very competitive. There are a lot of people applying and only a limited number of spots. So if you are in hygiene or you've been accepted to hygiene, then congratulations. If you are working towards that goal, then good luck. But let's get started. So my number one tip would probably be, and if you see me looking down, I'm just referring back to some notes that I took. So I would say the number one tip would be to stay motivated and determined. Hygiene school is going to try you. I mean, it's really going to try you. It's going to make you cry. School is very rigorous, so you're going to have to keep your end goal in sight. You can't get frustrated and give up. You have to keep going and remember why you're doing it in the first place. You may be trying to make a better life for you and your family. This could be a second career. You know, it could be a change of career for you. So you have to keep the end goal in sight. My number two tip would be study habits. So you have to develop good study habits because, I mean, when you're in hygiene school, you're going to have to study. Like, you can't get through school. I mean, maybe if you're a genius you can, but you can't, the average person can't get through school without having some sort of study habits. So if you are a wife and a mother, your study habits are going to have to be really good. You're going to have to be focused because whereas someone that does not have the obligations that you have, they might be able to set aside 4 or 5 hours to study at one time. Whereas if you have kids, depending on their age, you may not be able to do that. You may only be able to study in smaller chunks, an hour and a half here, an hour and a half there. So you're going to have to develop good study habits. So you know that when you have the time, that you need to sit down and get your study in while you have some free time. So after each class, you need to come home, read, study, whatever your assignment is that day. You need to do it that day so that it's fresh. And you need to really learn the information. Don't just learn it to take your test the next day and then forget about it, because hygiene school doesn't work like that. So you have to learn the information and retain it, because you're going to see it again on your national board. So you have to learn, and then the next thing you learn builds off of that. So everything is ongoing, and when you take your national board, you're going to have to recall all of that information. So my number 3 tip for getting through dental hygiene school would be to have a good support system. You must have a good support system, and this goes for whether you're a wife and a mother, you are a single mother, or you're the traditional college student, meaning you're not married or you don't have any kids. You're going to need a support system, more so if you have a family though. And by support system, I mean if you're married, then your husband is going to have to be very supportive and know that he's going to have to step up and do a lot of things that he might not normally do. He's going to have to be a lot more hands-on with the kids. He may have to put the kids to bed. He may have to entertain the kids while you're studying. He may have to fix dinner. He may have to pick them up from school. So your support system may consist of your husband, your mom, your sister, your best friend, somebody that you trust with your kids, because with hygiene school, there's an attendance policy. So there's only so many days that you're going to be able to miss, because they just don't play that. Like, you have to be there. You have to learn your material. So you're going to need somebody. If your kids are sick, you may have to have someone stay with your kids while you still go to school. You may have to have somebody pick your kids up from school if they're sick, or if they can't go to the daycare. They may need to step up and do that. So that's where a good support system comes in hand. Also, your support system may have to become your patients, because depending on where you go to school, they may provide patients for you, but I know a lot of programs do not provide patients for you. And the program that I was in, we had to find our own patients. So I became a hustler. I don't have family here in Tennessee with me, so I couldn't depend on my mom or my brother, my sister, whoever to come in and be my patient. I had to have business cards, and I would hand them out when I went to Walmart or somewhere in the community, or I would get the students on campus to come in and be my patient. I would get my roommate's friends, because you have to have patients to meet your requirements. So I became a hustler. Like, I'm like, nothing is going to hold me back. Like, I'm going to finish this. So that's where a support system would come in hand too, because you're just gonna need help. Everybody needs help. So I'm going to group the financial aspect in with support system. So when you go to hygiene school, you're going to have to figure out how you're going to live, or how you're even going to pay for school. So if you are a wife and mother, you may have it worked out with your husband where he understands that he's going to be the one footing all the bills for the next couple of years. And if he can do that, that's great. Now, if you're a single mother, or even if you are married, you may still have to take out a loan to help you get through, because hygiene school is expensive, and you really shouldn't. They advise you not to work while you're in the program. But I guess you probably can work if you just have to, but I think it is strongly advised that you do not work, or you work a limited amount of hours. Now, I did work when I was in hygiene school, but I only worked like 8 hours a week, and that was just enough to, just probably buy clothes, because I worked at the Gap. So I would get money, get my 50% discount, and buy clothes. And I was lucky because my mom and dad supported me while I was in hygiene school. But everyone doesn't have that luxury, or you could be older and you just have to make it on your own. So if you take out loans, be mindful that loans have to be paid back. So when you get that loan money, you don't need to go crazy and be buying the most expensive weave. You don't need to be taking your family to Disney World, because remember, that money has to be paid back. So you want to spend it carefully. I forgot what tip this is, but the next tip, I think is tip number 4, is preparation and organization. So you need to be prepared and you need to be organized. So some things that could come under being prepared is, if you're a wife and mother, you might want to meal prep at the beginning of the week on Sunday, and that way all your meals are planned out, and all you have to do, or all your husband has to do, is just pop a meal in the oven or the crock pot or whatever. Another thing that would help save some time is prepare your kids' clothes on Sunday for the rest of the school week, and that way that cuts out having to find them something to wear every night or every morning before they go, and then that's precious time that you could use studying. Organization. So organization, you want to make sure that you have all your notes and everything organized. That way, when it's time for you to sit down and study, you have everything laid out. You're not shuffling and fumbling trying to find what you was trying to do. You have to be organized about your study. Memorization also consists of you taking good notes in school, so that when you come home, you're like, oh yeah, I remember this about this. Also, have a bedtime for your kids. Be organized at home. Have a set bedtime for your kids. Let's say your kids, depending on their age, I mean, if they're younger kids, they may need to go to bed at 8 or 8:30, and then you have the next couple of hours to study like you need to. Or, if you have older kids, then that may not be a problem. My kids are very young, so I have to wait until after they go to bed before I start studying. And sometimes my husband, he takes them as well, but my son is still really attached, so it's just easier for me to put him to sleep and then do the studying after he's asleep. And my final tip is probably take care of yourself. Self-care. Take time out for yourself to do something fun. If you don't want to become resentful of your husband or your children because you're so worn out from going to school and taking care of home that you just let yourself get run down. You don't want to be resentful. So take the time out and do something fun. Take a break from school. Just take an hour to yourself. And as a mom, I know that it's hard to get time for yourself, but go and do something fun and get energized, and that really goes a long way. Also, no, I take that back. That wasn't my last tip. My last tip was just make good friends with your classmates. Well, you don't have to be great friends with your classmates, but know them well enough where you can go to them and ask them questions if you need to, or y'all can get in study groups if you need to. It really helps to have someone to talk to that's going through the same thing that you're going to. Like, you can have friends, but if they are not going through it with you, they don't understand. They don't understand the pressure that you're under in hygiene school to pass, because you're like, this is my livelihood, so I have to pass. So just be sure that you make friends while you're in school. And so that brings me to the end of my tips, but I do want to say, don't get too overwhelmed and stressed out. Yes, you want to do good in school, but ultimately you do the best you can. As long as you make above, and I think when I was in school, we couldn't make lower than, I really don't remember. Whatever at the time, it was a C. You couldn't make lower than a C. So sometimes you just, sometimes you just have to take the C and move on and know that C still equals degree. So C still equals degree. Now, I'm not telling you not to try hard and do your best, but if you know that you've done the best that you can, and the C is what you get, then take it, move on, and be ready for the next class. So I hope these tips will be beneficial to somebody. Thanks for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.